whole unit, a whole chapter, 2 weeks at a time on one specific topic.
The Common Core standards are a change in how we're implementing instruction in the classroom in math and English and language arts. It's definitely a more focused and more in-depth method of teaching, and there are standards that guide our teaching and our assessments in the classroom for students.
The biggest thing we want them to understand is these are a set of standards that we're going to be using to help their children achieve the goals that we want them to achieve. All across the country, this is what children are expected to be learning at the various grade levels in English language arts and in mathematics. And so we're going to explain to the parents sort of what the standards mean and how we go about trying to help their kids achieve those standards.
They don't need to just memorize facts and be able to do computation, but they have to be able to really understand and be able to almost teach it to somebody else, to have a deeper understanding of what they're learning.
The big shift for the Common Core state standards is to have the kids think more critically, think more deeply, and to do more problem solving. It's not just teaching them skills, it's teaching them how to think and how to choose which skill to use.
The way it will benefit students is that it will focus teachers and help them to notice what's happening with their kids in the classroom based on the targeted skills that we're required to teach. And in that, it helps us to be able to support our students more and also notice who's struggling and what we can do to help. It gives us information about what we can do to help them.
We're doing a lot more assessment. We're doing a lot of formative assessment, meaning before we teach something, we do a pretest to determine what the students know. And then as we're teaching the new content, we assess them to see how well they're learning it. If they're not learning it or if they're struggling, we try a different approach, or we try a specialist, or we do something different. So that by the time we do a post-test, more of the children have achieved the goals that we've set for them.
We have summative assessments, like at the end of the unit, but we also have formative assessments that are done daily in different ways.
And sometimes they're very simple. It's not necessarily that they're sitting there watching or taking a test. Sometimes we're just watching them and we're being very observant of what they're doing in the classroom, and we keep track with checklists or just anecdotal notes, and sometimes just a quick activity that they do and hand in, and they don't even sometimes realize that it's an assessment. But what we do is we look at that as our data.
And teachers are using this data. We're really looking at each child as an individual, and we're planning accordingly on a daily basis. And that is miles of difference than the way it used to be when I first started teaching, and it makes sense, and it's working because we see the progress. We see kids changing, and when they didn't learn a skill, we're then changing our teaching methods, and we're pulling a small group and making sure that we reteach it, but in a different way.
It gives you some of the background so that you can help your child even with vocabulary and whatnot.
So because we wanted to kind of get parents more involved, and we wanted to really let parents know that we're a team and that we're working together on their child's education.
It's what Superintendent Spring talks about when he talks about parent engagement versus parent involvement. When parents are involved, they bring their kids to school, they pick their kids up from school, they sometimes check the homework, they do all kinds of things for their kids, but this is trying to get them engaged, really become partners with us in the education of their children. Or maybe I should say we're partners with them in the education of their children.
Parents can help by doing some of the same things that we've always encouraged: reading, becoming familiar with the Common Core standards, and they can do that by communicating with teachers, and also there's a lot of resources online.
Big thing that we try to help the parents with is to choose books that are just right for their kids. We don't grade them, we have a leveling system, guided reading, the program that we use from Fountas and Pinnell. And we test a kid to find out their guided reading level, and then we help them choose books that are on that level, so that they're reading books that are challenging enough to help them learn, but not so difficult that it's impossible for them to access the book.
Well, the end result is to be able to have kids who are ready for college. I mean, that's our goal, and we want to start now in elementary school, getting them ready so that they can be successful in college, and then they can have a career.
I'm hoping that these kids will come out as lifelong learners. We hear that term a lot, but I want them to be passionate about learning, and I want them to care and understand how important it is. One of the things that's also emphasized in the Common Core standards is just real world experiences and relating learning to the real world. And I feel that when they leave, I'm hoping they can take everything with them and be able to do that.